Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Stories from the Unbound Shores. Where we last left off, sadly, 2 weeks ago, thankfully not as long as our previous break, the party had received a casting of Commune to try and figure out some of the Death Knight Atlas's motives, and have received the answer to their questions, and was last discussing and making plans of what it is they should be doing next and how best to use the information they gained. With Dirk and Eskel sadly having to leave the party, but with Roland being taken over by Tristan and becoming a cleric of Illustre. I think that covers the bullet points at least.
Those are the broad strokes. We talked to the Aarakocra cleric, received some information and gifts, and then we're allowed to rest to prepare for the next leg of our trip.
Indeed.
Where the party came in here to chat for a while, unaccompanied by Roland, or the dog, Kampar.
Kampar was waiting outside, I believe, if I recall correctly.
Yeah. He was just kind of sitting / lying down kind of at the entrance to the large tent that's been made to function somewhat like a barrack.
Yeah.
And then I remember that Al had come to the door looking for Roland, and he was across the way discussing one of the contraptions on the desk with one of the clerics here, and he came over when it seemed like he was being summoned.
This is true.
But I know that Mel and Aurelion were discussing the meaning of the commune answers. So we should pick up with that discussion.
For those of you who don't remember, the questions and answers are, I believe, all pinned in the channel, but they also just, should be on the first screen. Well, okay, a little bit scrolled up.
Wait, what?
I think I'll just read them off so that we have it fresh in our minds.
Alright.
The question 1 was, is it possible for the souls of the Death Knight Atlas and his wife Eleanor to end up together in death? To which the answer was yes, though the fates strive against it. 2 was Atlas' oath broken by harming those that did not wrong him at the Forgotten Fortress? To which the answer was, the intent is true, but the wording is false. We need to figure out what we worded wrong. And then the third one, we said, was the destruction of the tablet in the Hall of Histories pertaining to Atlas' invasion of the Forgotten Fortress, done in an attempt to hinder our efforts to defeat the Death Knight? The answer was, not strictly your efforts.
I was aware of the people of Avandra. I don't know what whatever. The Avandra people who were previously helping with Atlas, right?
I
think I was at some point made aware of them.
The Avandra people?
Yeah, I thought there were like, I thought someone said something along the line about clerics of Avandra or something along those lines.
Something had come up, and that was when they first ran across the Death Knight.
Oh, could it have been that after he had turned his back on Bahamut because he had been betrayed by the Order of Bahamut, he turned to Avandra before turning to Tiamat later?
No, he had turned to
Sayanine?
Sayanine. Avandra had come up, and when you guys had first run into the Death Knight, that he had, fought a different group of adventurers where you had met him. One of which was a cleric of Avandra, who was able to weaken him with a divine intervention, but not enough to win the day.
Yeah, we got those dudes' gear. Because they got blown up.
That's why,
that's where the morphine armor and weapon came from.
Okay, because my note in here was from our run-in with him at the Forgotten Fortress, where he said something about Avandra's intervention, and his plan needs more time, but not because of us.
Right. Yes. He must have been referring to the divine intervention.
Yeah.
Right, so you and Aurelion were discussing this not strictly our efforts line when we left off last time, I remember.
Okay. I mean, I had been mainly sitting here kind of muttering myself. I don't remember what else Aurelion had added. Because I know Owl was also semi-involved in this. Because it was Al asking if I was okay that prompted me to start talking aloud about the journal.
This is true. Yes, because...
Like, yep, I'm fine. Now let's focus on this thing. Totally. But anyway, so I remember we had decided that there's probably more to the fates strive against it than just Atlas being unwilling to repent. And then the wording is false. I went mutter, mutter, mutter. Wait, do we know when his oath was formed in the first place? Question mark. I don't remember what the discussion around that was.
I'll be completely honest, I don't recall myself. So.
Well, it was sometime when Roland was... sometime before Roland met him.
I do recall this being mentioned, yeah.
At any rate.
Roland quietly watches, tipping his head from one side to the other.
He's watching us, what, us?
You discuss, yes.
So the wording is false. Did he harm someone else that didn't wrong him? Or rather, was the wording that they... Oh my god, I can't talk.
I think you are onto it there.
Okay, intent is true, but the wording is false.
Your friend said that you were able to speak with his lover about his oath.
Yes, she... What did she say? Hang on.
I suspect that it is telling you that what she told you was not accurate. Not a lie, probably, but that she did not know the truth.
Yes, but when we first spoke, we landed on the idea that we, as in us and you, we landed on the idea that because one of Atlas's goal was to minimize collateral damage, we were thinking perhaps it was the amount of people he killed when he went to the fortress, not all of which who were directly involved in kidnapping and holding Eleanor hostage.
This could still be true. The commune suggests that we have the intent correct, but perhaps there is something specific in the wording. Is what he violated, and we do not have the correct wording.
Hang on.
Already on.
Intent is true, wording false. So I was thinking that it meant the wording of our question was false, but the oath was broken by something revolving around that, harming those that didn't wrong him or the Forgotten Fortress. So I was wondering if maybe because we said broken by harming those that didn't wrong him at the Forgotten Fortress, maybe there were others elsewhere.
It is possible. Already on? Are you awake?
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts?
Are we casting the spell again? Because I think that's probably the only way to sort this one out.
Oh. What do you think of that, Mdasai?
Well, if the intent is true, then I think we're on enough of the right track anyway. I don't know, I just know that Commune has a higher percentage failing. We would have to wait until they took a long rest to be certain.
Me? I think this is up to the Arakokra. He wants to risk it. We are to rest here this evening and leave in the morning. Is that correct?
That, I assume, was the plan.
What time of day is it now? Because I think we were taking a long rest right now, right? I just don't know if we're completely yet on the normal daytime people shift yet.
As the time of day has kind of been lost to the ether, do you guys want to be on a daytime sleep schedule or a nighttime one?
Meaning sleeping at night and working during the day. We are all elves and therefore only need 4 hours. Is that correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Yep.
So even if we sleep when most other people are asleep, when go to sleep rather, say 8, 9, 10 p.m., we still become active again by like 2 a.m.
This is true.
Indeed.
And so now we will be both.
I mean,
But we do all have dark vision and such.
So I'm just asking if you guys have a preference, because it's near the end of your day. I'm just not certain if day or night is what you guys want to be the end of today's day.
Let us be diurnal creatures.
I'm not familiar with that word.
Awake during
Means
the
that
day.
yes.
The opposite of nocturnal.
Okay. So then it's late afternoon, early evening. I'd say like kind of 5:30, 6-ish. Yeah.
I always forget if this word is spelled with a K or a C.
Hmm.
think
Crepuscular, I'm not familiar with.
Crepuscular means that you're only active at around dawn and dusk. And you're asleep during full night and full day.
Let's see, I think.
Okay. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. Let's be diurnal. Let's go to sleep at night, so we'll say that it's night. Get some use out of my new wristband, my cool wristband.
Yeah.
Is it possible that you'll get the most accurate answers straight from the source's mouth?
As in, go talk to Atlas and Eleanor again?
Indeed.
Or
That is what I mean
attempt
to
talk
say.
to Atlas, yes.
I feel like you have faced him already, and you understand his weaknesses, and you have forged a speaking relationship with this Eleanor, and that perhaps more can only be learned by speaking with Atlas himself, and I think I can be of use there, since I knew him in life.
I do think that is true.
If it is not your intention to try casting this commune again. Actually, I do wonder.
Melisari has been staring down and scribbling kind of at her book and looks up at this.
He does. He just actually and trails off thinking to himself. Give me a moment. I have to check my sheet. Roland, where are you, Roland?
He's right
There
in
you
front
are.
of me.
I have to go. I have like 35 character sheets to go through. Find him. There he is. Alright. Actions. Earn undead and preserve life. A weapon. Harness divine power. Strikes once the healer. Spells. It doesn't look like I have commune. Let's see. To known. What is that? A second level spell? No. Third? No. Fourth? Well, think that it's not a spell I have access to yet anyway. So, must be higher than 4th level. Sorry. I thought perhaps commune would have been something granted to me by my lady, but apparently I am not yet worthy of it.
But will it come in due time?
I imagine so. It is speaking with the gods and receiving her blessing and her guidance is the purview of her servants and clerics. So I imagine that, yes, at some point I will be able to do this.
I see. Interesting.
But it is not yet.
That is rather unfortunate, though.
I just figured if I could do it myself, then we would not have to travel the Arcoca again. Reek seems busy, and has helped us a great deal already.
Indeed.
I'm sorry to trouble you with this nothing. Oh,
What was that?
I believe that we have options. We can either seek Eric out tonight for one more commune, or we could rest and bother him in the morning. If we wished to stay, I believe that he has to sleep for 8 hours. We would have to remain, or we could head out and trust that we will be able to figure it out on our own, once we are in the presence of our... I do not want to call him an enemy. But he is an antagonist.
I would... Not entirely certain. I'll be completely honest.
Uncertainty is understandable, but do you have a proposed course of action?
I believe seeking him out tonight would probably be the most beneficial to us. This way we know if we need to stay those extra 4 hours or we can carry on.
Roll a knot. It is reasonable. What do you think, Mesai? Miss Orion?
She's frowning down at her book.
Well, I wasn't actually saying that we needed to cast the spell again, but just that there's really no point in trying to work out the answer here because we just don't have enough information
I think this is true. But it leaves our options as to cast the spell again to try and gain more information, or to simply seek our destiny where it lies. Did you have a preference?
We'd have to work out more questions if you're casting it again.
Just true. Do you see folly in doing so? And if so, then we can simply carry on. But if you think it is worthwhile, we should come up with questions.
Not strictly our efforts.
What was it, Miss Melisari?
Oh, I was just thinking about the last question now. Destruction of the Hall of the Tablet. Was it done in an attempt to hinder our efforts to defeat the Death Knight? Not strictly our efforts, not strictly our efforts to defeat him? Or is that not the only reason it was destroyed?
I read it as simply not only you, or us,
Yeah,
we.
that's my understanding of it as well.
It
That was my
removes...
initial understanding of it, but I it's possible there's a slightly different reading in there, but I think simplicity is better.
I think that it also gives us the most motive to read into. If this is something that God has interfered in to protect the existence of this Death Knight, then we can reasonably assume that this Death Knight is important to the future plans of this God.
Or he's just an asshole.
I think many gods probably are. But they still have a purpose behind their actions. They see a profit in it somewhere in the line. Even the ones who do things simply to inconvenience others, it is because they gain some form of power from inconveniencing others.
Elisari kind of smirks and says, for some people, the joy of inconveniencing others is enough.
It is true.
But that's besides the point.
Well, actually, it is not really besides the point. Do we know if this is the kind of a god who does such things for such reasons?
What do we know of Vecna?
That he is a plotter and a schemer, and that usually means that there are plots and schemes which have far-reaching effects and many, many component parts. And secrecy is above all paramount.
Melisari is raising an eyebrow, just saying that was more of a rhetorical question.
Well, I think perhaps it is not so rhetorical. I simply mean to say that if a god has a reputation for being a plotter and a schemer, that they probably accomplish things from time to time, and so there is not going to be frequent actions whose only purpose is spite. And so one could reasonably assume that if an action was taken, it had a purpose outside of inconvenience to someone else. Anyway, that is how I look at it. That is just what I think. Mine was not necessarily to argue, only to present that it seems too soon, perhaps, to say that we don't need to think about a thing because it could be done in spite.
She is looking at you. Kind of a hard look in her eyes.
He sits down upon the bed quietly and looks back for a few moments before averting his eyes. Of course, I understand if you do not wish to hear my opinion.
Vecna has been on my mind very heavily since we left the Hall of Histories. I wish that I believed that it was just spite. But for all my positing, thinking out loud, I feel confident that's not the case. And then she turns her attention right back to her notebook.
So, Oriam, should we come up with questions or should we sleep? I would work with you on this.
The question is going to be rephrasing of the original to try and just pin down what we might have missed.
It could be as simple as to ask the god directly if the wording of the oath that we know was accurate or not. Since they are wont to answer in yes and no. If the wording we were given is accurate and they say yes, then we know that they must have meant something deeper, and we can have a question prepared for that. But if they say no, then we...
We don't actually know the wording of the question. We only know that
Question?
what you have told us and the wording of the oath.
Mm-hmm.
Eleanor suggested his oath was to a simple matter of getting back at those who had wronged them. Or at least I think that's all I have notated about it.
I believe that you told me it was Eleanor who suggested that there was a reducing collateral damage part.
I think that was our discussion with you.
DM?
I think Malsar was right on that it was you.
Me or Roland?
Roland. Sorry. Yeah. Well,
I'm flipping back around.
I think it came. I think it came up from both sources.
Okay.
I think about it. I think it came up from both Roland and Eleanor.
Okay. But I simply said that we could ask the god if what we knew of the wording was accurate.
Who'd we lose?
Did we
I heard a
lose?
Discord ding dong. Ari.
Oh.
They're completely offline.
Oh.
It's the phone.
Excuse me.
You're excused.
Well, I think I can say without Ari here. Oh, there's Ari.
I don't know why Discord is not liking me. I'm so sorry.
That's alright. My cat is leaving now. Anyway. So I have notes from our discussion with you, Roland, that he had 3 primary concerns. No harm would come to Eleanor, minimize collateral damage from his attempts to accomplish the goal of vengeance, and carry out his vengeance on those who would not repent. Or rather, those who would not repent would pay in full. Something along those lines. But regardless, we don't necessarily know the wording of the oath. However, we could ask, is our knowledge of Atlas's oath accurate?
Yes, I agree with it. And then I believe that early on, had suggested that we could ask the god the yes/no question as to whether or not there was a person other than the Death Knight himself who could give us the wording of his oath.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I do recall.
Which could be useful information, I believe. That if we do not believe, we will get through to him to ask what his oath was, to get him to repent.
I didn't specify a person though.
No, of course not. We cannot. We can only ask yes or no questions.
No,
So-
but I mean, I didn't specify if there was a person other than Atlas.
You had said
Because the answer to that might be no.
Yeah.
A source of information,
A book,
which could be
writing.
a book or a...
Ah, I see.
An animal. Another god.
Oh, that does make things tricky. There's almost certainly another god who would give us, who could give us that information, but we have no way of...
But we now have another piece of information. That this oath regarding Eleanor that he has broken was made not to Bahamut but to Sayanine. Or rather, I suppose this oath was made to himself, as paladins don't necessarily need to swear to a specific god. But it must have come after he left the following of Bahamut, since he had been betrayed, and his oath was in regard to that betrayal.
This is a fair point.
Or perhaps a cleric of Sayanine, or Sayanine herself, might have more insight. So you could ask if there was a representative of Sayanine on Elysium. Could be there is not. What about you, Al?
I'll be honest, I stepped away real quick because I thought it was going to be really quick because I was discussing dinner.
Nothing has
what?
changed. We are trying to figure out what our path forward will be. Perhaps to ask more questions, to refine our answers, define where we can find more information. Discussing the oath of the fallen paladin. determining that it was made after he left Bahamut service. For it was vengeance against the followers of Bahamut.
As much as I would like to stick around and ask more questions, we are on a little bit of a time crunch because we do have to worry about Atlas returning.
Yeah, I was about to. Oh.
But
Oh, no,
we
no,
should
he wrote it
instead
first
say
time.
how much time is left before that happens.
That's what I was about to ask.
Yeah.
You know
and
exactly how much time. You have the urn.
We do.
That is only an estimate.
but
The boy
Can
gave
you
it to you.
tell from here approximately? And I'm kind of shuffling the urn at you, or whatever we have his ashes in.
all right. Sure.
Please make an investigation check.
I was gonna say, would that be a roll?
Investigation.
There's my d20. Let me pull. Actually, I'll pull up my character sheet on my tablet. It's fine. Investigation.
Yes.
Christ, alright. These dice like me. That is a 21. Natural 20 plus 1.
Okay then. From the weight of it and how much that you've noticed disappearing over previous days,
I
you
hate Discord.
was that you that dropped?
Yep.
Alright, then let me restart it. From its weight and how much you've seen disappear, like kind of, just see disappear out of it over each day, you're fairly certain that it's got a bit over 4 days left.
About 4 days. Melisari.
She's doing some math in her head. DM, how much travel do we have ahead of us to get back?
To get to the fortress.
Yeah.
If you were to strictly walk, about 4 days.
Okay, but we'll probably walk to the Norwich Village, and how much time do we knock off with Windwalk?
I believe you turned like 2 days into half an hour.
Damn, really? That much?
Yeah.
No, I mean, so the real question is, how long does it take us to get to the Norwich Village from here? Because we know once we have Windwalk, we can get there same day, in like an hour.
It would take you about 2 days to get to the village from here.
Okay.
Great.
I
We're doing
believe
okay.
that it would be worth it to go to the village and do that route.
Okay. So, She kind of like was scribbling in her notebook, sat up a little, looked at it, and then kind of huffed and like slouched back over it.
Roland is just turning his gaze back to her, but saying nothing.
I suppose we could ask, does Vecna stand to benefit from keeping Atlas alive?
We could ask.
You suspect the answer is true. Or the
I
answer
would
is yes.
say that given the answer we've already received, do you believe that this is a good use of a question? I suppose my phrasing could be improved. Do you believe there is reasonable doubt that our previous answer does not support this conclusion?
I could also ask about the sending I received. No, perhaps it's better not to waste a question on that.
If it troubles your mind, is it not worth it?
I do not wish to put my own troubles above those that are essential to...
If we do not have a third question that better benefits this current endeavor, then I do not see a reason not to ask it. Especially if your mind can be put at ease, you could better serve this mission. Oh look, the Dragonborn.
As you guys are talking, one of the clerics will, a female Dragonborn specifically, will come in from outside. Say, hello. Just here to change shifts. Do you know when and where you'll be heading? Where you'll be heading and when you'll be leaving?
Is our immediate departure required by this process?
No, I'm just curious. There's been some... well, we know what's generally in the area, and so if I knew what direction you were going, I thought I'd, keep you advised of what you might run into.
I do believe we would be heading to the northwest.
Insight!
You may roll insight.
Hey, yeah. 20. That was my attempt at saying hell yeah, but it didn't come out right.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah.
Yeah.
You said 20?
20.
Alright, then you're able to get a good read on this individual, and she doesn't really appears to be talking to you straight. No deception, no beating around the bush, just simple and straightforward.
And we've heard
Seems to be
nothing.
showing concern. But as you mentioned, the northwest, while it is difficult to tell with a Dragonborn in scales, at least Melisari will notice that her face seems to pale a bit. I'd be very careful going that direction. There has been a large beast of some kind that's made that its hunting grounds about one day that direction. We've had to, well, after failing to investigate, we've simply had to avoid it altogether.
You know what manner of beast?
From the little bits we've managed to gather from seeing kind of the leftovers from hunts at the edge of its territory. It seems to be quite large, and also, hunting things of similar size mainly, but
If you
not
have
being all that
established this creature's territory, then it must have been there for some time and you've studied it.
well, we don't know its territory exactly. We just know that, well, we have a few lines of where some clerics have crossed and not returned.
Territory? So, how long has it been hunting this place?
A good 7 months.
A long time. And you have not seen it? You do not have reports of what it looks like?
Not really, just that, so we've never seen it. We have only seen more or less what is left behind.
Indeed, what it has left behind is what kind of creature?
It left behind scraps of what we believed was a gorgon.
Gorgon?
A bull that's naturally plated in metal.
Hang
The
on.
entire
It
corpse.
hunted a gorgon?
whatever was left of it seemed to be charred from the, well...
They believe
just
it uses
charred.
fire.
Fire, something like it. I didn't
Acid.
see any of... There wasn't much burned, but the beast.
Electricity, maybe? Would that char metal without charring the surroundings?
That could be possible.
Do you know if this creature flies or walks on land?
Well... we believe it, well, walks may be a, well, there are occasionally footprints nearby. It's often, large tracks. It's on the ground, but it does not appear to be using legs, at least not frequently.
Slithering?
Yes.
In your group, you came this way to find me. Did you see something large like this creature on your way?
I don't believe we saw any sign like this.
No.
We fought Chimera back, but that doesn't seem to fit.
The farthest northwest of here you guys have been is the Mage's Tower. Everything else that was pretty much pure north or north of the Norwich Village, which may or may not be past this thing.
Is the Norwich Village... The Norwich Village is northwest, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Well, let me double check. But it's definitely north. I think it is
North and
northwest. But from what they had to start, you be in its area in about a day's walk from here. So
Yeah.
since the village is twice that, you
Yeah, I got through
Likely
it,
to
possibly. But that's why I'm confused, because then you said that the Mage's Tower is northwest of here, and I'm like, it shouldn't be. We came across this place from the Mage's Tower heading back toward the Norwich Village, I thought.
No, you had. I'm fairly certain you guys had double back to drop off the
Chris?
Chris. That's it.
Yeah, we came down here in part to drop off Chris and in part to further investigate. Shit, hang on. I think we were curious. God damn it. What the fuck? Oh,
Great.
right. I think we were. Fucker, what am I trying to say? Sorry, hang on. Right, because we were asking about the Raven Queen at the tower and held off on giving them the map because we had reservations, because they seemed to have reservations. I think we wanted to see if we could find more out about that, but I don't remember.
It was more that they didn't have reservations about who they were selling things to.
Was it? Because I swear that, we, like, asked about the Raven Queen or mentioned about the Raven Queen, and one of the people there kind of had a meh reaction to that.
It did not seem like it was outside the realm of possibility that they were responsible for some of the undead. Either way, the point was they were hard to trust, so we did not give them the map.
Yeah. At any rate, we ended up here.
Excuse me. Yep. From looking at the map, yep, the Norwich Village is northwest of here, and you guys would have had to have doubled back slightly, but not particularly far to come across this camp. And you guys had started at the tower because that could give you information on what was nearby, and you knew where the tower was.
Actually, I think we were specifically looking for the camp to bring Chris to, maybe? And so we stopped at the Mage's Tower to see if they knew exactly where we were going.
That is what I recall.
That seems accurate to me.
Does this mean that we have to go past the tower to get back to the Norwich Village?
You certainly can without losing any time, really. Yeah, you don't necessarily have to.
Okay, because I was getting very confused by the words doubling back, which it does not sound like we ever did. We went to the tower, and then we went further than the tower.
Oh, wait, there was a thing I wanted to check. I wanted to see if we can find out whether the attack here is connected to the attack on the Hall of Histories.
The attack on the tower, you said?
The attack here.
Oh.
From the undead, if that was related at all to the tablet destruction. Because that white seemed a little confused about that.
Can I ask the question? So, do we ask the question tonight?
I suppose if it's not gonna take too much time, I'm just concerned about...
It's 11 minutes.
I think she means the time if we decide to wait till morning.
Yeah.
Then it's 4 hours and 11 minutes.
8 if we need to wait for Reek.
No, I mean 4 hours longer than we would have to wait.
Oh, I see.
Yes, 8 from now, but 4 hours past when we would get up.
Yes.
Dragonborn, fuck off.
You guys seem to be wrapped up in your conversation, and she was able to give what she could, so yeah, she kind of left.
Thought she was changing guard.
As
There she
she's
is.
conversing with somebody else in the tent who was previously sleeping.
I see.
Kick.
Anyway. Sorry, I'm having a really bad heartburn right now.
Shouldn't have eaten whatever you ate.
What?
It is what you ate. Shouldn't have eaten it.
Yeah, fuck that mac and cheese.
Warned you.
No, you didn't.
I warned you about them
Why?
stairs, bro.
Liar.
Never trust the stairs.
Oh my god. Alright, anyway. So, if we choose to ask again, I have some possible questions lined out. The first one, is our knowledge of Atlas's oath accurate?
Nodding along.
Second, as Aurelian suggested, is there any source other than Atlas who can accurately give us the wording of his oath? Switching that potentially to, are there any representatives of Sayanine on Elysium, assuming that, yes, there is certainly going to be a god that can accurately give us information on his oath. And Sayanine being the most likely. That was the result of this conversation, correct?
They're back. They're gone again. Yes, that seems to be the case.
Okay.
Our best source of information would be a representative of Sayanine, and leaving it open enough to include gods would be bad for us, since we do not intend to speak to other gods.
Although there is the question, do we intend to speak to really anyone unless they are directly on our way? We could just ask Reek if he is aware of any followers of Sayanine in this general vicinity.
It's true, he could be aware
That's
of
a-
such things.
I'll be right back.
One other thing I wanted to potentially throw out into the ether. Was whether there are other gods actively trying to defeat Atlas. Going back again to Avandra, do we know if they were more seriously going after Atlas, or if that was just a random encounter with that one cleric?
Do a lot of people, besides gnomes, these clerics who've been sent here, and my drow, spend their time living in Elysium?
What?
The population of Elysium. What is it like?
Oh,
We stay mostly away from it, so I imagine that
Yes.
it is mostly zombies here, but that could be inaccurate.
well, there's a lot of zombies for sure. There's a lot of followers of Nerul. There's several encampments of the Raven Queen. Mount Mistal is a city primarily of dwarves. And then there's Alzid to the southeast, I do believe.
Okay.
The capital city, I believe, right, Derek?
Yeah, it would be pretty much strictly east, maybe actually a little bit north of where you're currently at,
Okay. Then east.
with one other smaller city pretty much directly south of you on the edge of the continent.
I should open up the actual map.
So the question becomes, given this population, is it likely that someone knew about this Death Knight and arranged for two powerful followers of Avandra to go and intercede?
Wait, what?
Given the population that you have just described, is it likely that these followers of Avandra would have been scrounged up to intercede in his activities, or are there too few people on this continent to make a fuss about it?
Well, my understanding is that the cleric of Avandra got involved elsewhere. Atlas attacked somewhere. Was it around Vino? Where did you come? Where did you come from, Al? No. When did you guys encounter the at the Death Knight originally?
We originally encountered the Death Knight. Oh dear. Ari is having a very hard time remembering.
Would you like me to tell you?
Yeah.
You originally encountered him in a small village named Stoneborough, to the southeast of the Isle of Heaven.
We encountered him in Stoneborough. It's a very small village, close to the Isle of Heaven.
So Avandra may have, or the cleric may have just been there because Isle of Heaven.
More than likely.
So there's a chance that it was just a random encounter.
That we...
God damn, Discord really hates her tonight.
Discord, please. Sorry, what was that, Kate?
No, I was just saying Discord really hates you tonight.
Yes, it does. It's so much. I'm sorry, guys.
You said
What were you in the process of saying?
I honestly don't remember.
I think I had asked the question, or just posited that it was possible the cleric of Avandra was just kind of there by happenstance.
It's likely. I'm not entirely well versed with that whole situation. That's the word.
I laughed, Melisari didn't. He just kind of nodded thoughtfully. It would be useful to have Eskel and Dirk with us.
You know, I was thinking the same thing. I mean, actually, Derek, would I remember, like, would this probably would not be relevant to Al at all, but like, would Would there be like a memory jog or something like that where something just clicked, or I don't know what I'm trying to ask, I'll be honest. I am struggling to find words.
How did we even get here? To this point in conversation.
By trying to figure out how, like, if anyone else was trying to destroy Alice.
Right. And then Roland asked if there was enough of a population here for...
I
There's
had
a
been
lot
under the
involved.
impression that this cleric of Wanderer had encountered your friend here on Elysium. I did not know it had taken place on another continent.
Gotcha. Yes, okay, so that's how we got to that point in the conversation. So now we are on the same page about that. And it's still... What was the point you were making? Asking about Avandra? Or asking about whether it was likely they would have gotten involved regardless? Or something along those lines?
I had been trying to make the point that if the population was low enough here, then they must have been sent. So someone was interested in stopping the actions of this creature. But it did not happen here, and it did happen close to where these people, these followers of Aronda live. Which means it is likely that they simply heard by happenstance that it was going on, and did their duty as clerics, went to investigate and solve the problem for the people. Therefore, my point is lost.
Okay, so then that is a question that is potentially still on the table, whether there are other gods actively trying to defeat Atlas.
When you say other, do you mean other than the Raven Queen, or do you mean other than us?
Well, we're certainly not gods. So I suppose other than the Raven... Well, actually, come to think of it, is the Raven Queen actively trying to defeat Atlas? I don't know if that's the case.
Is he a zombie?
He is an
Yes.
undead?
Okay, technically.
I do not know much, but what I do know of this Raven Queen is that he does not like undead.
Well, but wanting him dead is a little different than actively trying to make him so.
Is it? In the realm of gods, I mean. Everything they do or want should eventually become action, no? That is why
Well,
we are
yes.
clerics. So when the Raven Queen, if I were to serve her, says, I do not like this undead, he should not exist, the result is that I as a cleric go, there is this undead, I will destroy it. And that is my god actively fighting this undead, and I am the tool.
But my point is mainly just, is that a current present goal, or are there other things taking precedence at the moment? And if there are other things taking precedence, then that might not be considered actively working to defeat Atlas.
I can only claim to know anything about the goddess that I serve, but I know that everything that she desires is always the current present issue. But there are many, many more than one our mind could hold on to at a time, which is why you have many clerics. Some clerics focus on one task, while other clerics focus on another, but to the god, they are all the most important. That is why they are divine, and we are mortals.
To my knowledge, we're the only group of humanoids, mortals, presently on this quest. How did we get on this quest again, Al? How did I end up here? And there, you see that moment flicker in Melisari's eyes, like, how did I end up here? Why am I here?
I know the answer to this question because Eskel knows the answer to this question. Too bad he ain't here.
Technically, was the out of character, Derek? Was it technically the prophecy?
There was a prophecy?
Some shit like that. Oh man,
That is part of what
I'm tired.
That's
What?
part of what got you guys started on this.
Yeah, but that only originally had to do with Al,
But it was also a
Amelie,
plot
etc.
to either kidnap or kill Lady Amelie, who was employing the paladins.
This is true.
Oh, that was a thing too. The Revenant. The Revenant might be related to this too.
Possibly.
That could be worth looking into. Worth asking about. Hang on. Let me flip through. And I start flipping back through my notes.
I wish I was Snarky Boy right now.
What about Snarky Boy?
I said I wish I was him right now.
Why?
Because I'm god awful at explaining this shit.
Because he would have things to say.
This is also true. I mean, technically what originally drew us all together, meaning the original group of us. God, I'm the... Oh, this is strange. I am the only original...
I know, right?
God, this is wrong. But originally what drew us all together was, this prophecy, essentially, that was given to us. Al would actually pull out her, journal and flip through and see if she couldn't find it where, if she wrote it down.
It was given to you by the head priest of the Temple of the Raven Queen in Stoneport, or Steelport.
Yes. Al would be flipping through multiple pages. Ah! Here we go. Al would... It's not necessarily relevant now, because I'm the only one of us who this still technically applies to, I suppose. Ari is now trying to find it in the pinned stuff. If it was still pinned.
It should be.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Okay. So this prophecy brought you guys together. You're currently looking for the prophecy? Because I zoned out while looking through my notebook.
Yeah. That is...
How does
Al
one
was
look for a prophecy?
Well, we had it written, and Al would, like, show her journal, ignore the doodles. And...
And? What did it predict?
Ari doesn't want to read, so I plopped it as a reply I suppose I can read it. This is what originally drew me, Eskel, Amelie, Vasilisa, Dirk, and Thenon. Yes? That was Thomas's original character?
Wee wee.
Yeah, okay. Cool. When those born small can stand again tall, the powers of Tiamat will once again fall. Protect the chain one, she endangers herself and your... That Q word always screws with me.
Quarry.
Quarry, thank you. St. Clair's dragon shall slay the St. Clair dragon with an origin story. Platinum hands need a thief's tool to find thieves. Those who are found themselves the she-dragon's fool.
This is utter nonsense.
I mean,
Most prophecies are.
yeah, true. Most are. And Al would...
Who's St. Clair?
Amelie.
Amelie,
Lady Amelie Eloise Noemi de St. Clair.
correct.
Eloise.
Eloise.
I got the word,
She was
order
very...
right?
Amelie, Noemi...
Oh.
Amelie Eloise Noemi de St. Clair
Amelie de
sounds
St. Clair.
correct.
Yes.
Eloise Noemi de St. Clair.
Anyway. She is technically a compatriot of mine, though she
Technically,
did not like me much.
Technically.
Sorry?
she is a compatriot of yours.
I would say so, yes.
Currently,
Was.
A long story.
he like animatedly looks left and then right. Mrs. Then where is she?
She...
It's a sore spot. Melisari looks pretty pissed again.
This sore spot.
Al would kind of look to the ground and mention she unfortunately passed away.
Then she
Self
is
killed, more like.
not currently a compatriot and cannot help us. Or can she
at
still
any
help us,
rate-
perhaps? We are among clerics to the dead. Perhaps the dead can help.
We do not have her remains. They were returned to her
returned,
family. And
yeah.
it's possible that they had the money to resurrect her. We don't know what happened to her after she left our care.
Oh,
Damn it, that's a thing I meant to ask Eskel.
What? If he knows what happened after?
Yes.
I think he just ditched her with Gus so that he could come back to us.
Oh, maybe. I
I
don't
also
remember.
miss the boy's
Ari does not
exuberance for
remember.
life.
What?
Sorry?
I also miss the boy's exuberance for life.
At any rate, we should ask about, we may want to ask about the Revenant and why they wanted her blood.
You know that... Wait, Revenant?
What killed her?
Oh.
Way
Yes.
back when. Forever and ever ago.
So this Amelie person is inexorably tied to the story of this Death Knight, is what you say?
Potentially.
It's what the prophecy apparently seems to.
Of whose lineage is the Death Knight?
Al would shrug.
Do they share a lineage?
Do I know?
Hint.
Do I know? Because was that brought up in my presence? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it was.
Okay.
Ari is having a serious really hard time.
I simply mean that I believe they must be related solely because you have this prophecy, but among the nonsense you had the line St. Clair's dragon shall slay St. Clair's dragon, and this St. Clair's dragon is dead. And we know that this Death Knight is currently serving Tiamat, and the last line says, those who are found themselves the she-dragon's fool. So, St. Clair's dragon is she-dragon's fool, who is used to slay St. Clair's dragon. It's already been fulfilled. He killed her.
Oh, fuck. Al would have a dumbfound expression on her
Alright, so,
face.
prophecy fulfilled. Next problem.
Hang on, though.
How are they related?
Distantly is my understanding.
To my recollection,
I
it
mean,
is very
Atlas-
distant.
Atlas died, like, what,
500
500
years? Yeah.
Remember that I knew him when he was alive, and he was a human.
Yes. How long ago was that?
500 years ago.
Well, there we go.
Boom. Problem solved.
I suspect it wasn't long after that he died.
It was not. I did not know that he had come back, though. He seemed righteous. I rather liked him. He helped my people. It is because of this that I think that I can speak to him. That was the heart of our plan.
I suppose this is true and accurate.
Well, we have spent a great deal of time talking about whether or not we will ask questions, and we have formulated a couple of questions which could ask. So perhaps we should simply say we are going to ask questions.
I don't see why not.
Early on, what do you think?
If we're in a hurry, then questions now probably makes most sense.
Alright. We should ask questions. So, we have the question about...
We need to narrow down questions, though, and we need to decide if and how we're going to ask about the Revenant collecting Amelie's blood.
Okay. What does he need Amelie's blood for? I think that it can reasonably be assumed that this Revenant was collecting it on behalf of this Death Knight. So what does the Death Knight need it for? Because I believe that if you ask what does the Revenant need it for, well, if you could ask a non-yes or no question,
Yeah, exactly.
you would simply learn that he did it for Alice. So, what do you believe the blood is for? If this Death Knight serves Tiamat, and he wishes to punish his family who still serves under Bahamut, perhaps the blood of a relative who is still under Bahamut's protection is needed to do something to the rest of the family.
That is a thought.
I've been around a lot of dark magic in my many years of life. This is the kind of thing that Loth would do.
Ugh.
Familial blood is a powerful tool.
That is very disturbing to think about.
I no longer control Chris. Early on, I'm worried. Are you suffering some sort of disease or malfeasance of the mouth?
What?
He has gone stone quiet.
Yep.
He's dead.
Oh, goodness.
Blurred.
It is most unfortunate. This would make our journey
Sorry.
difficult.
I've been like frantically flipping back and forth through my notebook this whole time. By the way,
Oh, yeah.
in game and out. Not a literal notebook out of game, but you know what I mean. I flipped through my list to actually I was currently looking through my spell book and then go, nope, that's not gonna help. And put it back down. And okay, back to my question. At any rate, other questions that I had posited. Are there other gods actively trying to defeat Atlas? Does Vecna stand to benefit from keeping Atlas alive? I think I had already said or suggested at some point. And then, was Vecna's attack on this encampment related to his destruction of the tablet in the Hall of Histories? I guess other than having been carried out in Vecna's name. I guess that would be necessary to specify.
It really is this time. Still alright.
Same.
I swear to God.
Oh, perhaps we should locate Reek
This would be smart.
before he falls asleep. Or before he goes to bed.
It is possible he already has. If they
It
are
is quite
changing the god.
Should we go check? Does he live? Do we know? Does he live in that little, not little, but like the
Dorm?
tower on the end?
You did see a bed in there that he
That's
was
probably his rooms.
I don't especially want to go. I don't especially want to wake him if he's already sleeping, but. And she's kind of like glancing around at you guys, waiting to see if anyone sort of suggests an action or appears to be going out
Roland
that way.
is simply looking very expectantly up at Aurelion, waiting to see if he blinks.
Al would. Pardon me, as she goes past. Roland. Why?
Poor Ari. You alright, Ari?
Going to lose my shit.
Wait, is his name spelled weirdly? Is Atlas spelled with an A or a U?
EU.
Oh, wow.
I don't know offhand.
I think it
However,
was
the normal
originally
spelling
U,
is-
and then maybe became A, and then maybe went back to U. I think it's been pretty fluid.
Okay, I'm gonna use
Well,
you
whatever
then.
the normal spelling is, because I don't know off
The normal spelling is with an A, but is Atlas a name that Nicole gave you for this character?
No.
Oh, okay. Because if she had, then I would say, okay, you make sense. Oh, well, somebody came and went, and somebody else just went. Bye, Al.
Wait, what?
Well,
Al
Al
has
said-
left.
pardon me, and is actively trying to seek out the Aarakocra, whose name I am not even going to attempt pronouncing at the moment. Okay.
It's Arik.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, well, we're gonna file out after you, apparently.
Alright.
If you stood and went to the door, Melisari also stood and went to the door, and at least, like, noted which direction you went.
Womp.
So you guys are going up to the door?
Yeah.
Oh, dog.
Alright. I wasn't Alright. Sure.
I moved you to, Jake Thomas. Is that okay?
Oh, two T-O-O.
Yes, I moved
Yes.
you as well, Thomas. Is that okay?
Yeah, I moved you to Thomas, and I was just like,
I moved you to Thomas. Would you like to not be in Thomas?
Al
please get
would
out of me.
knock on the
3
door.
times.
You'll hear a little bit of a surprised squawk for a second there.
Christ. Alright.
Who's there?
Al and company.
Oh, come in. I don't bother to keep it locked.
Alright. How the... Ow! Christ. Alright.
Smoosh yourself in the doorway, don't you?
You know? Bite me.
We were just or rather, first, we're sorry to bother you again, but we were wondering if you would be willing to cast Commune for us one more time, or attempt to cast Commune for us one more time tonight.
Oh,
Yes.
do you happen to already have your questions?
Yes, actually, we do.
We need to narrow them down, but yes, generally, we have questions.
I wrote down their premise for 2 and 3. I have actual wording for number 1. I believe Kate had some written down somewhere, but it wasn't here, so I put it here.
I guess we could ask about Atlas's main goal. What did we know of Atlas's main goal going into this?
Vengeance.
Well, yes, I know, but there was something about his family too, wasn't there?
Well, there must have been. His prophecy said that Sinclair's dragon will slay the Sinclair's dragon, so he must intend to slay the person he already slew. For a reason.
Necessarily. Not necessarily, which is why I'm asking Al.
Sorry.
She is gently but pointedly telling Roland to shush.
Ari completely zoned out. What happened?
I had said, if we knew Atlas's main goal when he became a Death Knight. And, like, basically how and why Amelie got involved, and I, out of character, have some vague knowledge of it, but I don't know how much I know in character, and so I'm asking in character.
Oh.
Other than the prophecy.
Ari is drawing a blank.
Who was the chained one?
Al would sheepishly rub the back of her neck. That was me. Yeah, did a
No,
thing.
you don't need to explain.
I wasn't expecting to.
Yeah, Melisari's just kind of like, don't worry about it. Sinclair's dragon. Say the St. Clair dragon. I'm just wondering if it counts as a St. Clair dragon. Does Amelie's family have specific ties to Bahamut or another dragon of import?
Ari's recollection is saying yes?
Okay.
I'm sorry, I missed the question.
Poor Roland. Slash poor Tristan. Slash poor Eskel rolling in his grave somewhere else. The grave that doesn't yet exist, hopefully.
Hopefully.
I mean, they only just left, so he can't be dead already, right?
I mean, it's been a couple
Right?
hours.
Right? I really enjoyed the flame animation. It's kind of mesmerizing me. Anyway. Okay.
I'm
Saint
seriously-
Clair's dragon shall slay the Saint Clair dragon with an origin story. Is he slaying the dragon with the story? They say the pen is mightier than the sword.
Oh dear.
Although I'm curious as to how you endanger yourself and what quarter you endanger.
Who, me? Yeah,
Protect the
clearly.
chained one, she endangers herself and your quarry.
Yeah.
At any rate, I guess
We'll
the
talk
last-
about that bit later.
Yes, that's fine. I guess the last bit I was gonna suggest was Amelie's blood taken with the intent of harming others in her family, just to kind of get that confirmation. But what is the first question that you have hammered out, Roland?
Oh,
Or
I
what
can
are the three
speak again.
questions in your
Okay.
estimation? She's giving you a look.
The first one that I had put wording to, based on the things that you said when we were speaking earlier, was, is the wording of Atlas' oath, the breaking of which resulted in his becoming a Death Knight, given to you, us, by Eleanor, accurate to what he spoke 500 years ago?
She didn't give us wording though, so I think we may need to switch that to, is our knowledge of Atlas's oath the rest of what you said following accurate? Because those are all important things to include in the question to be clear, but I don't feel like going through them all over again. And then the next two questions that we were leaning toward. She is waiting on an answer.
That is the one that seemed first that should be attacked, since we were told that the intent was correct, true, but the wording was false. So it seemed to me to indicate that your understanding that he did not wish to cause collateral damage was true, but the way that something had been worded is oath, or perhaps, as Aurelian has whispered in my ear, the way that we identified whom he harmed was false.
Yes, I was more thinking, my understanding was more leaning toward that second. The latter. That our wording was incorrect in the question.
It could be the case. If that is what we wish to believe, we can ask both questions, if we wish. And then perhaps I would make the final question. Is the taking of this Amelie's blood important to the final designs of this atlas?
Well, I think we can already safely assume that, as he was the one or he seemed to have been the one directing the taking of her blood.
Mhm. I cannot think of a yes/no way to ask what the purpose would be, though.
I know.
We could find out, perhaps by yes/no, if it was a personal vendetta or if it was for Tiamat in some way.
Yeah, that's. I think that's a good idea. Perhaps.
We could find that out simply by asking if it was for Tiamat. Because if it was not, then it must be personal. Or for someone else. But it is not Tiamat, and that seems like the most important information. Perhaps I'm wrong.
Since we can't do an either or, perhaps our atlas's eventual how to phrase is Atlas's primary goal. No.
If it will assist, I can cast this spell up to 3 more times today. If more questions might speed this process along.
Melisari kind of looks a little sheepish and said, apologies, we'll be brief.
Just know that while any answers we get will be true, there is always a chance, with every casting after the first, that we may not get an answer at all.
Yes. Okay, is our knowledge of the oath accurate? What was the second question?
If we wanted to test the other possibility of the miswording, it would be, was Atlas Oath broken by harming the persons at the Forgotten Fortress, removing the specificity of the reasoning or the fact that they did not collaborate in this deserving of his retribution?
I think that's good. Okay, hang on.
I have reposted 1, 2, 3 above. Formed into yes/no questions.
Oh, they were posted in Discord?
Yes, in the
How
Unbound
did I miss those?
They're like 6 up.
I missed those because I was looking at the
8 up.
prophecies still.
Yes. 8 up from the bottom.
Okay, wording. Yes, I think I'm good with those.
Does this convey what you were hoping to find out early on?
Peaches.
What?
Peaches?
Oh, really fascinating.
What?
Thomas, you just gotta speak up, man. You're reading super quiet.
I'm mumbling. I don't know. What did you choose? Which questions are being asked?
I shall pin them, I think.
Hmm?
Yes, I can. Boom. There, it's pinned. So if you go to the pins, it's the top pin. I'm asking if these wordings capture what you were hoping to learn, or if there was something else, or some other way of wording that you thought would be better.
Don't they have to be yes or no?
Please. All of these are yes/no's.
Oh, I see. You edited them.
Yes.
It's 2 o'clock in the morning. Very tired. Okay. Tiamat, yeah, that's... Is that a new wrinkle now that we have to start paying more attention to?
Pay more attention to what?
The Tiamat.
Hmm.
We'd been focused on Atlas. I suppose bigger picture.
Yes. We know that he is serving Tiamat in some capacity of what he does. We are trying to separate his goals from Tiamat's goals.
Oh.
Because I believe if we can separate his goals from Tiamat's, understand what it is he desires, and find a way to fulfill that for him, in a way that also causes him to repent, and thereby end his suffering as a Death Knight, that we could perhaps at that point ask him what it is that Tiamat, directly ask him what it is that Tiamat wanted him to do.
I also think it's safe to assume that he has some personal vendetta against the family, and so asking about Tiamat is definitely the better way to go, as they could both be motivations.
Roland is nodding.
And also, I posted a slight rewording and the justification for it in Discord as well.
I need to read this.
Or I suppose we could lay out our... but we kind of already have laid out our specific understanding of Atlas's oath.
Okay.
Or perhaps instead of knowledge, information. Information would probably be better.
Okay.
As knowledge implies, or knowledge may incorporate our understanding of it, as opposed to just the base information that we were given.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
I understand what you mean.
Okay. So then, do we have our questions?
Yes, they are pinned.
Marvelous, marvelous. Alright, I suppose those are the most important.
And then present these to you, Rick.
Alright, so, just to be clear, I am reading what Kate posted for question 1 and then questions 2 and 3 that you posted?
No, I
They're the
have
same, yeah.
recreated question 1 so that it is the most accurate in mine.
Alright, is everyone good with this?
Yeah.
Mel is.
I'm good with it.
Roland nods.
I just realized, what has Roland been calling me?
Miss Melisai?
Okay, perfect. I just wanted to make sure. Carry on.
What did you think I would call you?
I couldn't remember if you had been defaulting to what Eskel has been calling me,
Oh, no.
which I believe
At least
is
not
Mel.
in character.
Yeah.
I have used the word Mel. I used the name Mel once tonight, but I was not speaking in character when I did.
Yeah. Perfect.
I have been reasonably careful so that he either calls you Melisari or Miss Melisari.
Yeah, because I need to be paying attention for that to correct if ever he slips up.
There it is, okay.
There is one person in
Detail.
in this party who is allowed to call me Mel, and he is not present anymore.
Else called you
Dirk?
Mel
Okay, it
and
was
you
Dirk.
didn't put up
Did
a
he?
fuss.
Did she?
Yeah.
Time to put up a fuss.
Alright,
Dang it,
so
not.
after 11 minutes, we'll see how this
Yay.
casting goes.
Yay!
Alright, what is the percent chance? 'Cause I don't remember offhand. I think it's 25 per
25.
casting.
That was 30.
I know it is for divination.
Let's see. Game rules, spells.
Relative 25% chance after each casting.
Okay. Well-
Cumulative, right?
Yeah, that's why you
What?
can only cast a certain number of times per day.
It's cumulative. So the first time you get it for free, second time you cast, you have a 25% chance to fail, then it's a 50% chance to fail, and so on.
Yep.
Alright. So, it succeeds.
Yay!
And so, you may
Damn, I
ask
wish
your-
I'd cast Detect Magic again. No, never mind, it wouldn't have mattered. I want to see what's different if the spell were to fail.
Alright, so is the information of Atlas's oath, the breaking of which resulted in his becoming a Death Knight, given to us by Eleanor and Roland, accurate to the oath he made before his death. You'll get back a yes. Oh, can't block.
Oh, interesting.
Question 2. Was Atlas's oath broken by harming persons at the Forgotten Fortress?
Whoa. We're getting a riddle.
Type.
Getting
Sorry.
a riddle.
Alright, and, well, I'm just gonna write the second one and third one out, and then I'll read them off.
Oh, you gotta go up there and slap the Raven Queen. She's not just giving us straight yeses and nos.
Oh my god.
Well, this is not a riddle, per se.
Oh, dear.
Alright. That one
I wonder
is
if we're
a
just gonna
simple
get the same response again, and the Raven Queen's sitting there like, are you guys fucking kidding me?
What?
What?
What? I'm not fucking kidding you.
No, the Raven Queen is sitting there like, guys, you just asked the same question again. Why?
We like to ask questions over and over and over again, hoping that we'll get a different answer.
Yep,
Alright.
we are the definition of insanity.
We are establishing a baseline.
Polygraph test. We need to make sure she's not lying to us.
Wow. Okay, so 2 actually just fucking came out and said it.
Oh shit.
I said the quiet part out loud.
Wait, what?
That was far more than a yes or a no. Okay. So, we now know that he took this
Alright.
blood. It was not at the behest of Yamant. So whatever it was for personal reasons, or for perhaps Vecna, but it was not for Tiamat.
Sorry, I had to mute up for a minute there. My dad was being something.
But it says here, Roland says, checking his notes, that what I told you and what Eleanor told you both were correct. We have told you 2 different things, and they are both right.
Well, you have told us similar things, and they were... You actually gave us more information than Eleanor, and all of the information that has been given to us is correct.
Says that it seems to me that this corroborates the intent of the question earlier, where we believed that he was attacking people who had not wronged him. It's less that they had not wronged him and more that they had surrendered.
Yes.
So he had killed hostages, basically. And then finally, we know that his taking of the blood of this Lady Amelie had nothing to do with his current contract with Yamant. So, We are dealing very likely with a person who is seeking personal vendetta against his family. And he's attempting a ritual which involves his blood. But as you have kept him incorporeal for many days...
Finish what you were saying.
I mean,
just
you don't get to
reading
make
it.
this smug face. It was Aurelian who suggested more forcefully that that was the case.
I had suggested it last week.
Yes, that is when he suggested it.
I also suggested it.
Either way.
I thought I was the one who suggested it first, but I think we kind of posited together and came to that conclusion. But anyway.
It remains that there were two possibilities, and now we have determined which is correct. And that is what is important.
I didn't really say that in character. I kind of maybe muttered it under my breath, but there's a smug face. Or not a smug face, but maybe a Anyway, what were you saying though? Because I typed it out in the chat specifically so that I wasn't interrupting what you were actively saying.
I'm saying that now we can rest and head to the Forgotten Fortress. Says, snapping the notebook shut.
Does he look irritated?
Find out.
He who?
Roland. Did you say find out?
Yes, I said, let's find out.
Should I roll insight?
Sure.
I rolled an 18 again. So 20.
He seems interested in being done with the conversation and going to trance.
So he's maybe moderately annoyed, but not specifically at me. Alright, let's go. Thank you again, Reek. You've been very, very helpful.
Is that all I can help you with?
I think that is the important information that we need at this moment, yes.
Oh, then I believe I shall be retiring for the evening.
I believe we shall all be. Good night, Reek.
Be careful if you're heading north.
We've already been informed.
We were informed of
Unless there's
something.
more than the
Yes.
dangerous creature.
What was that, Mel? Sorry?
Unless there is more to be concerned about than whatever creature left charred Gorian remains.
Well.
I
There
mean,
might be more, but that
There
is
is always
my
more in
concern.
Elysium, but yes, okay. Primary concern is that one thing. Okay. Well, to bed with us then, I suppose.
We should be leaving before too long. We only need the next 4 hours
Yes,
to
that's
rest.
true. So, we will not be seeing you again. So, farewell, Reek.
Farewell. If you do run afoul of this creature and somehow slay it, do let me know. It would save any scouts I send that way a great deal of time not to have to go around.
We'll do what we can to contact you. Do I have the spell sending? Is that a spell, right?
I don't
It
know
is.
if you do, but I know the cleric does.
As I sit here looking at it prepared on my sheet, I don't know what you're talking about.
What?
I have sending.
Okay, yeah, no. I was wondering if I did, specifically. I don't think I do.
Oh, I thought he was
But-
another paladin.
Nope.
Oh.
No more paladins. I'm done with paladins.
Aww.
For now. Maybe
No
forever.
paladin of mine. Ha ha.
Oh, dear
God damn it.
Since we lost
Alright, so we're starting to
two
walk out?
paladins, which are two secondary healers, I figured it would be better to replace them with a single primary healer than with a single secondary healer.
Are we
There.
walking?
Enemy it-ins. Ba, ba, ba.
Oh, and as we're walking back to the tent, Melisari says, "Perhaps we want to avoid this creature, unless your god necessitates slaying dangerous things."
My god only wishes that I create bonds between the drow and the people on the surface, so that my people can leave the Underdark. Unless this creature directly threatens our ability to do that, I should have nothing to do with it.
Do me a favor and roll a history check.
I'm going to roll a history check.
Just rolling. It's just rolling.
Yep.
I'm so sorry.
I feel like you missed my
Hey.
Roland joke earlier. Oh, that's pretty
Hey,
good.
Did you make that same joke?
I wrote, I think Roland is ready to be rolling. Yeah.
Okay.
At
After on a roll.
10 o'clock this morning.
Oh. Yeah, I did miss that then completely.
Sorry. I need to pull up my character sheet. You said history. So that's a 19.
That's surprisingly good.
I am trained in history.
Oh, well, that would help. Then, by this creature's description, it sounds strikingly similar to a creature you would be familiar with from the Underdark. A Bahir.
That is interesting.
Oh,
Because
great.
when Kate suggested lightning, my first thought was Bahir, but then you said that it didn't seem to leave tracks. And I was like, well, it does slither, but it also has a bunch of legs, so you would see.
As I learned, it appears that it slithers when like normal walking, but the legs are for climbing. It's what gives it the climb speed.
Mm.
At least that's my interpretation.
Indeed. I'm going to, I guess, Roland is scratching at his chin as he walks back, thinking about things. As you bring up this creature,
Right.
and says, though, something you said earlier about it, about this means of burning the Gorgon, it did trigger a memory for me. When I lived in the Underdark, we sometimes had to deal with these creatures that could generate lightning to burn their foes, and they did slither, as was suggested, though they also had legs for climbing and moving quickly.
Well, yes, I suppose that would explain tracks rarely seen.
It seems like better than a decent fit, but I do not want to assume to be correct. However, if we do run afoul of this lightning lizard, do I know anything useful about fighting them, or is my knowledge stay the fuck away?
You would know some useful things about them. Let me pull up its stat block.
Then I might have some suggestions for how we take it on.
I'll just pull up my stat block specific.
But other than being familiar with the creature, no, Idistai has not commanded me to fight this thing. And her tenets do not require me to fight it, given what we know of the situation. If that changes, however, given further information, I will let you know. Does this answer satisfy?
I'm trying to remember.
What my answer was?
No, I'm just trying to remember the rest of the conversation, or like the whole conversation. I'm like running through my mind real quick to generate a response to what you said just now.
Overall, what you would kind of the broad strokes of what you know would be that it's is somewhat intelligent. It can speak. Most know Draconic, some have learned Undercommon. It spews lightning, not unlike a dragon, but in a shorter range. And that it can swallow creatures, not unlike a purple worm.
Oh. But it does speak, so it could potentially be reasoned with.
Correct. They're not the most intelligent, but they are capable of speech and communication.
At least start with that, I guess.
Are you saying that in character?
As he had said, he might have thoughts for how to take it on. He was then thinking about what he knew about it before continuing to say, they are somewhat intelligent, and some can speak, so it's possible that we could reason with it or ask it to go away rather than to fight us. But they are predators, and they are, what's the word? Obligate carnivores, hunters. And so, it is probable that we would have to fight it. But if it knows Undercommon, I could talk to it.
The two other things that are coming that you probably know is that A, it has to try and constrict something before it can attempt to swallow it, and B, it's primarily a ambush predator.
Okay. If we are to fight it, one must be careful because it is a creature large enough to consume a person whole. However, it does generally constrict them first, so we will have a moment before a person is lost to the gullet. However, all of this is somewhat moot because it is an ambush predator, and so if we do not see it coming, I do not think we will be able to speak to it before it is too late and it is upon us. But I think that this is a strategy that can be discussed if it becomes clear that we are going to enter its territory.
We've been walking toward the tent this whole time.
Yes.
And she's just kind of like... She rolled her eyes briefly at potentially reasoning with it, but didn't say anything. Maybe gave a small sigh. But anyway.
As people are tired, this is a decent stopping point, and there's a little bit I'd like to discuss after the game. Unless people object, I would like to stop it here.
I mean,
Okay.
I would love to do more D&D, but we can stop here. I don't have a specific problem with it.
I don't have a preference. If we stop here, we stop here. If we keep playing, we keep playing.
I just feel bad that we took up the whole time talking and trying to figure out questions again.
It happens. We've been gone for a while, so discussion needs to happen.
It's part of the roleplay.
It's true.
We did encourage participation by everyone, so everyone did have a chance.
At any rate, if this is the decision, it is a decision that I accept.
Alright. Then I believe we are done there for today.
Good night, stream.
Indeed. Good night.
Bye, stream.
Bye, streams.
Bye, stream.
Bye bye.